NBC News, the pandemic impact on America, opioid crisis. Opioid overdose deaths hit new highs during pandemic. So we're going to check this out, this news, because as I always say, through the power and the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, everything the wicked have done to us may it fall upon their own head, past, present and future. So before we go and do this video, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Shema Shai. Give me the spirit to do this video, and double honors to all the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations all the sincere Akim and Kwam Yashala to the house of David. Everything the wicked have done to us, past, present and future, may it fall upon their own head. Deuteronomy 30:7. All these curses are falling upon them.
It's like losing your best friend. It's losing your soulmate. It's losing the one thing that made you whole. For me,
Courtney Bartley had only been married 4 years.
it was all I could ever ask for. He was one of the sweetest men I'd ever met.
After years of sobriety, her husband Seth overdosed on fentanyl on March 30th last year. 4-year-old Isla and 2-year-old Elise barely knew their dad.
When I look at my girls, that's a whole different type of loss. I had never experienced pain, except for when I see my girls cry out for their dad or grab a picture and hold it close to their heart, because that's the only way that they're going to get to feel him.
You can look back over the last 10, 20 years. When it comes to opioid-related mortality, we've seen a significant increase in the number of overdose deaths nationally over the last 10 years in particular.
Psychologist Navdeep Kang is the clinical director at Brightview Health, an addiction treatment center founded as the opioid epidemic hit Southern Ohio and the region he describes as the cradle of the crisis.
The opioid epidemic and all of that overdose death has really ravaged the community here, has shined a light on what people have been dealing with.
Nationally, there were 81,000 drug overdose deaths from May 2019 to May 2020, the highest number of overdose deaths ever recorded in a 12-month period, according to the CDC. And the agency says the pandemic played a role in that surge. Here in Ohio, the Attorney General issued a warning saying Ohioans died from an opioid overdose at a rate of 11 per 100,000 people in the second quarter of 2020.
All right. So this pandemic is a surge. This pandemic, the overdose deaths accelerate during COVID-19. This is a surge. Yeah? Surgical strike from Yahweh Shai. Here are the statistics. 81,000 drug overdose deaths from May 2019 to May 2020. The highest number of overdose deaths ever recorded in 12 months. This is a surge. This is surgical strikes. This is a pandemic.
Overdose deaths ever recorded in a 12-month period, according to the CDC. And the agency says the pandemic played a role in that surge. Here in Ohio, the Attorney General issued a warning saying Ohioans died from an opioid overdose at a rate of 11 per 100,000 people in the second quarter of 2020, more people than in any time since the epidemic started in 2015. Scioto County was hit hardest, with 35 opioid deaths per 100,000 people.
You had asked me a year ago what would have been some of the worst ingredients to add into the mix as it pertains to the mental health of Americans. I would have told you economic despair and social isolation.
Substance use disorder is a disease of isolation, right? The opposite of addiction being connection with other people, being a meaningful life, being relationships. COVID has taken a lot of those things away from us.
Places like the counseling center here in Portsmouth had to close just like everything else when the COVID crisis began. No treatment, no group meetings, replaced eventually by virtual addiction programs and then smaller gatherings.
Just trying to navigate treating the...
Yeah, because you so-called white people, you can't take it, you can't take pressure. You always find a way out through drugs, through alcohol, through suicide. That's your That's your claim to fame. When anything stressful comes upon you, that's your way out. That's the first thing you turn to, because you don't have no faith in God. So, like I say, the Most High, everything that they've done to us, past, present, and future, is falling upon their own head. That's a surgical strike through the power of Yehovah Hashem Yehoshai. Barakatah Yahweh, that's why we give all praises to Yehovah Hashem Yehoshai. We're getting closer and closer to the end. The Most High is hitting them left, right, and center. This is a pandemic. This is a scourge going through the land. You want us to be gone? It's falling upon your own heads.
Had to close just like everything else when the COVID crisis began. No treatment, no group meetings. Replaced eventually by virtual addiction programs and then smaller gatherings.
Just trying to navigate treating the disease of substance use disorders, opioid addiction specifically, right? Trying to treat that disease under these modified service provisions is almost impossible.
Across town, back at Brightview Health, Dr. Kang wants COVID-cautious patients to know there has been a broad expansion of telehealth around the country.
There's a hopeful tilt to this whole discussion that I really want people to understand, that quality addiction treatment is available on demand in a way that it frankly never was 5+ years ago, and is even more available now than it was a year ago.
Courtney Bartley thinks the start of the pandemic may have been the final obstacle in what she calls her husband's downhill slide.
Addiction grows in isolation, it grows in silence, it grows in the darkness, and the opposite of that addiction, recovery is...
And you so-called white people, you always like to point your finger. Oh, they're the cause of it, it's the so-called black people that's the cause of it. They're the cause of all the surges and the pandemic that's going wrong. And if you get all too close up to them, you might catch it. So they love to point their fingers and place blame at other people. But how can you place blame on your own self-destruction? In this particular case, you can't. Yeah? Opioid overdose deaths hit new highs during pandemic. So who can you blame? You can't blame nobody but yourself. Trying to make us the face of this pandemic, crossing the road when you see us from a distance. When you're the germ carriers, the disease carriers, you're the ones that brought it all over there to the so-called native Indians, giving them tuberculosis through the blankets. All them nasty diseases, is you brought them that pox, smallpox, you brought that to them, and now you want to try and blame us. But you can't point your finger on this one. You can't get out of it. This one is Unua kill on yourself. Kala Yehovah Hashem Shai, all praises to Yehovah Hashem Shai. And everything they've done to us, past, present, and future, may it fall upon their own head. Aita, Babukusha, Babukusha, Babukusha. Deuteronomy 30:7 says, And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee.
In the darkness, and the opposite of that addiction, recovery is like connectedness, it's spirituality, it's being involved.
Courtney holds on to that truth as she goes through life with her daughters. She has 13 years clean herself, every day handling one thing at a time, motivated by the family she still has.
Who else will my girls have? And I can't allow them to go through any more pain like that. I cannot, and so I will be here for them. I will do whatever I have to do for them. They are my motivation.
And Aaron joins me live now from Portsmouth, Ohio. Aaron, you said in your story there that Dr. King described Southern Ohio as the cradle of this crisis. Why is the opioid epidemic hitting this part of our country in particular so hard?
Right, here's the answer. 2 Thessalonians, why is that pandemic, that epidemic, that opioid crisis hitting you wicked, so hard? 2 Thessalonians, straight from the Bible, straight from the precepts, straight from the scriptures, straight from on high. 2 Thessalonians 1:6 says, Seeing it is a righteous thing with God to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. You understand? That's the answer. What's this? What's this? What has he got to say? We heard from the Spirit now. What has he got to say?
And Aaron joins me live now from Portsmouth, Ohio. Aaron, you said in your story there that Dr. King describes Southern Ohio as the cradle of this crisis. Why is the opioid epidemic hitting this part of our country in particular so hard?
Yeah, I think Dr. Kang was referring to when this all started in this region, really, not just in Southern Ohio, but in West Virginia and in Kentucky, which is just across the river behind me here. This area saw a lot of...
Yeah, mainly you white people. Right? Mainly you white people. 2 Thessalonians 1:6 says, seeing it is a righteous thing with God to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. Gonna love troubling people.
So hard.
Yeah, I think Dr. Kang was referring to when this all started in this region, really, not just in Southern Ohio, but in West Virginia and in Kentucky, which is just across the river behind me here. This area saw a lot of pill mills. There were just folks coming in, doctors coming in, and being able to prescribe painkillers that were not necessarily needed by some of the people who were getting some of those medications. Now, though, for sure, this opioid problem is led by illicit drugs, things that people are buying on the street, things that are that they may not know what's in, and things that are killing people in large numbers, Allison.
What are you hearing from both counselors and patients about how virtual treatment is working out during this pandemic? Is it working for them, or do they really miss those connections and those in-person sessions?
Yeah, I think virtual treatment is an option that people are pursuing because in some cases it's the only option that's available. But many counseling services are now doing in-person sessions again with patients, and they're also holding group meetings, smaller group meetings where people are wearing masks, and so they're not able to sort of see each other's faces and expressions, but they're still able to make that connection a little bit more than they were when the pandemic started around this time last year.
All right, Aaron, such a heartbreaking story. Thank you so much for sharing with us what folks are dealing with there in Ohio. Appreciate it.
More than they were when the pandemic started around this.
Thank you so much.
All right. We're going to hit some precepts, man, just to hit the ball out the park. Job 30. This is Job 20 and 5 says, that the triumph of the wicked, yeah, the wicked are you is, yeah, that the triumph of the wicked, you so-called white people, is short, and the joy of the hypocrites but for a moment. Because this is a scourge going through mainly that era there where he mentions all the Texas era, all them so-called prominent Edomite areas, right? Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream, and shall not be found. Right. This is a scourge. These are all surgical stripes from on high. He shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. The eye which also saw him shall see him no more, neither shall he place any more. Neither shall any more place. The eye also which saw him shall see him no more, neither shall his place any more behold him. Right. His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hand shall restore their goods. Right. You're going to give everything back to us, what you stole. It's going to be a curse unto you, and you're going to see that it's a curse unto you because it doesn't belong to you. When things don't belong to you, there's a vibration that goes along with that. There's a vibration. If you ever if you was to steal a dog that belonged to another owner and try and look after it and claim it as your own, that dog will, anytime, any chance it got, that dog will always try to escape from you because it knows who its owner is. So, this is what I'm saying here. The eye also which saw him shall see him no more, neither shall his place any more behold him. His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods. Because, like I said, the dog knows that this doesn't belong to it. This is not its original place. This is not its original abode. This is not his home. This is not his owner. So he's always seeking to escape. So that's why you're gonna realize that the goods you've stole, the gold and the silver and the gemstones. I always talk about the gemstones. Yeah, all the possessions in which you have stolen, you're gonna want to restore it, because it's just gonna be a curse unto you. All right. In 12, Job 20 and 12 says, "Through wickedness be sweet in his mouth, through he hide it under his tongue. Though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth, yet his meat in his bowels is turned." He's growling, growling, growling. It's not settled. Meat in his bowels is turned. It is the gall of Alps within him. Right. It's like a volcano when you're trying to get out. It's not settled. You understand? He have swallowed down riches. Here it is again. You're going to have to restore all the riches that you stole. He have swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. God shall cast them out of his belly. You understand? Because it doesn't belong there. It's not settled. It's not happy with you. 19 to end it off now. Jump down to 19 of Job 20. "Because he have oppressed and have forsaken the poor, because he have violently taken away an house which he buildeth not, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly." Yeah, you're dropping like flies, man. Yeah, that's the curses upon you. Deuteronomy 30 and 7. "Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly, he shall not save that which he desired. There shall none of his meat be left, therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him." You're going to be like a chase roll, man. And that's what's happening. The Most High sending scourges among you is. You want to send it upon us, but that's how it works. Everything that you've done to us, past, present and future, is falling upon your own head. This is Job 14 and 5. It says, Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass." Right. There's a bound you can't pass. Yeah? There's only so far that you can go until the Most High starts knocking you down like flies. That's what we're seeing here now. "For there is a hope of a tree, if it be cut down, that it will sprout again, and that the tender branch thereof will not cease." Let's jump down. Let's jump down to 10. "But man dieth and wasteth away. Man giveth up the ghost, and where is he?" Yeah, this is all the wicked, all you wicked. Yeah? Seeing that it is a righteous thing to repay back tribulation to those who trouble you. We just looked at that precept in 2 Thessalonians 1 and 6. "As the waters fell from the sea, and the flood drieth and drieth up, decayeth and drieth up. As the waters fell from the sea, the flood decayeth and drieth up." It's a scourge, man. There's a scourge coming among you, man. The opioid crisis. Yeah? The opioid crisis, significant contributor to spike in overdose deaths. Yeah? That's the news, NBC News. And I don't write the news. Precepts to end of the video now. In 20, "His sons come to honor, and he knoweth not, and they are brought low." Right. His sons come to honor, and he knoweth it not, and they are brought low, but he perceiveth it not of them. "But his flesh upon him shall have pain." Yeah. Your life now is becoming a living pain, man. You want to die, and some of you want to die. You can't die. Some of you want to live. Most High is putting you to death. Yeah, that's these are all surgical strikes, man. This is like torture going on to the ease. "But his flesh upon him shall have pain, and his soul within him shall mourn." Right. So we're going to end up with that. Yeah, this is all the prophecy This is all prophecy. We just looked at those precepts in Job 14 and Job 20, 3 Thessalonians, or was it 2 Thessalonians, Deuteronomy 30, and the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And so you can't point your finger at us on this particular one, can you? You can't point your finger at your own self-destruction, your own suicide. You can't blame no one for that. Kala Yahweh Ba'ashim Yerushai. 2 Thessalonians 1 and 6 says, seeing it is a righteous thing with God to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. And that's what it is. It's righteous when we see that. It's righteous. Kala Yahweh Ba'ashim Yerushai. Duwada to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yerushai for giving me the spirit to do this video. I want to say, rise up to the house of David, Kwam Yoshuala. And everything the wicked have done to us, past, present, and future, is falling upon their own head. And we can see it with our own eyes.